process, then we come up with a health improvement plan, and that directs services that public health will provide to our community in the next 5 years. This was coming up on a very short timeline, and I am working with Iowa State University. They gave me 5 grad students, and they were compiling some data for me. In the midst of COVID-19, Iowa Department of Public Health has delayed this process, and they put the cutoff date a year down the road. We are going to continue to work on it just because I have the students and the resources for focusing on that. So I thought it was important to share the 10 essential public health services. These are things that we are required by the state and the federal government to provide at the local public health level. So that's just an FYI.
The last time you did this, you were one of the fattest out of Shane County in the state.
Maybe you could interview Lonnie because he's doing his share right now.
Nice. You know, one thing that we have had a growth of in this county is we have some very healthy assortments of them.
Yeah.
And maybe we see that expanded.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Good.
That is good to see.
Of course, resources are still, there's been some discussion between Julie's office and Scotty and some coalition resources things, trying to find any pricing in the area, getting ready for not only sustaining our operations here through, we don't know the end date of this great adventure, and also for potential vaccine administration, however that comes about within the counties and how we're spending, which Julie's been working with the planning team on that, determine is it a fixed pie or is it are we going to extend it out to the medical authorities to administer? I think that's a hard decision to make because vaccines are in short supply on the front end. And
What are we doing again, sir?
Well,
That's-
November 1st was our target date,
I
and
think
then
it's-
we've got some correspondence saying,
Yeah.
as you've
Now
seen
it's
on
gonna
the
be back
news,
a few
we're on
weeks.
the, we're on the delay
That's no
fast track.
surprise.
So,
Right.
so basically, I think when it comes down, it'll be similar to H1N1, this is my reading, Julie will know more than I do about it, but I think it's gonna be prioritized by the CDC and the state. If the state endorses what the CDC is recommending, then, that would be passed down to the locals. And you know, that's in the area of healthcare providers, things like that, and then you get into the critical needs people. It kind of triages down, and we went through that for H1N1 summer situation. So I think, and then as more supplies get become available, then quotas will come out, and just like the new flu vaccine quotas come out, availability, and then there'll be more probably pods or opportunities to administer the vaccine. Of course, this is the way I understand it, a 2-shot.
Yeah, she said.
So it's gonna be-
20 days apart.
The big thing is to be able to get those people, maintain tracing, get those people back in for the second booster, you might say. So I think that's gonna be the biggest challenge on that. There's gonna be PPE needs for that, and I think that's what we're trying to figure out, what would those needs be based on, whether you do a fixed point of expense operation, like a fixed facility, we do a drive-through, those are options, or do we decide to spread some of that out based on vaccine availability to caregivers to administer and track devices, the state system. So the PP is still, there's a shortage of it. Pricing is all over the place. It's nitrile gloves are anywhere from $17 to $23.99 a box, 100 that's been prepared. And when you get into case accounts, it's 10 boxes. You go anywhere from, vinyl right now that is non-allergic, with non-latex, non-powder, is $9.99 a box. And the problem with vinyl is people are thinking, well, that's latex. Well, no, it's not. And number two, is it medical grade or not? And what environments can we use that in? Can we use that in acute care? No. Something like that. But can we use in other forms? That's something's going to have to be decided because $9.99 a box is a lot cheaper than paying $23 or $17, $18 a box to try and do that form of level of health. So we're going to have to look at that. I think the school was really hurting for gloves, and it's mostly for bus drivers, people like that, for care providers, and, they're pulling their head out because they were getting, they were claiming they're getting price gouged. No, supply and demand, bottom line. And, I haven't talked to Frank Bachman yet, but, this $9.99 may fix his bus drivers, because they can work vinyl and give them the protection they need, and at a cheaper price. So I'm gonna address that to him and see if he's interested in something like to help the school out in that area. In fact, you might address that also through your network of the nurses and see what they think. But I do have plenty of nitro available. We have went out and found some more nitro, and we're bringing it in out of necessity, because we don't know what it's gonna look like a month from now, 2 months from now. It could get tougher to get the stuff. Gowns are another big issue going on, because, females pushing trash bags out the door. Went ahead and got some of those, and I looked at them, they're trash bags, but they're blue, and they have holes in them. And we do have a stock. We have a lot of the 30-day cash. Most county has. I haven't been asked for that too much, because we had other stock that we had on board that we requested from the state, and that we had left over, so we're being able to survive.
So Larry, are you finding these from other states, other
Yes,
counties?
well, I had gloves.
Hey,
I had gloves and gowns, and I've got some more masks coming in from California. Some
Oh.
ready to come in. And then I dip into places like Illinois and
Really?
Tennessee. And there's certain vendors out of state that can keep our fingers on. There's a Department of Defense one that Patrick got me. I got signed up for itself, mostly the DoD. And we got
What's
a
DOD?
Department of Defense. We have a federal. We have a now, so I can access them. It looks like there's someone on quotas too. And they gave me a quote yesterday. It was like
See how
3 boxes of each
complicated
size.
things can
And
be?
on the nitrile gloves, I'm going to waste that. I'm going to need more than that. So, and of course, and
You
their
know, if I
pricing
forget something,
is
it's
not
on you.
dynamic.
Thank you, Lori.
Yes,
You're the best.
yeah, so everybody is hurting right now. So I think those are things that Julie and I are gonna have to keep an eye on real close and try and be ahead of our needs the best we can. And, the clinics right now have not been touching us, for resources very much at all, as they were early on. So apparently their parent hospitals are starting to at least get their hands on some stuff, but there's still a shortage in the hospital environment too.
I don't either.
And so I think that's something that's gonna have to be addressed. In the, comm center, we're still masked up in PSAP right now. I told Susan yesterday that we're past that 2-week period. I was in a cautionary mode of operation for a while down there,
Well,
and I'm debating, do we stand down from the mask? It's pretty tough staying with the mask on. Although you can still hear the dispatcher really clear through it, because we have headsets.
I could be wrong.
You're sitting there 8 hours with the mask on, you do give them breaks. If we're doubled up, get some fresh air and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it makes it kind of hard. But I can't afford to start losing people, and
Absolutely.
then it becomes a contagious situation to where everybody stays.
6 feet apart down there.
Well, we're right now I have a trainee in position 2, so I can't maintain
That's
6
right.
feet between
Yeah,
1 and
you're
2, but it's a good 3.5 feet. But the other one's from 1 and 3. We only have 2 on one's at one, one's at the other, so there's about 9 feet there, which makes it
She's
good.
down in
It's just
Iowa.
it's a box, and so it's reciprocally there, so we have to be aware of that.
It makes regular college look.
Trying to source some information from the auditor. We had some revenue come in, we're trying to source who's in this, and then
Yeah.
and keep ahead of that. Let's make sure. I was on the Indian branch yesterday with some mortgage thing that she put in there, which is around 29,000. So we need to be aware of those numbers going in, because sooner or later, and I checked those lists now, who's on there,
Thank you.
to see if we have somebody jump off the list for buyout, and they're still on there for mortgage. And we gotta make sure that we
Well,
retain
yeah,
people on
they-
there.
Well, and they are coming off, but one of them didn't realize that the other one had already sent us the mortgage payments. And so we paid them when we got them, and
'Cause I
that
saw-
person jumped off, so they got another one.
So I saw a
So
name
now
on,
they're opting out.
yeah, so I saw a name on there that I was gonna talk to the auditor about later, saying it looked like a newer name to me. So, anyway,
If they opt out, they went back.
you could go through civil and turn it over. I think you can turn it over to downstairs, possibly. do a similar thing. No, yeah, we
I'm
don't,
just,
we need to
upset
determine
us
whether that's the
back
best
with
thing to do
Dave.
or not, maybe not.
So they got a double dipper.
well, they're not taking the buyout, so therefore we paid their mortgage payment. And because that money would come back to us after the, closing. But there's two of them, so. I don't know, I said I wish we could just give them a little scare, at least, just say, hey, did you realize? Right.
So anyway, I think, so I think basically it's, we just need to stay ahead of this game with COVID, and we need to keep the public informed. I think through social media and everything Julie's office been doing, her connections with school and long-term care is keeping that good, straight relationship. I think with the resource center, we've had some setbacks every once in a while in communication, getting information from them, the right information from them, and I think that's starting to clear up a little bit. But we gotta stay on them because, those numbers we report, if they're residents of the county or residents of that facility, and it's important for my alerts in the comm center, we put alerts on these residents, even, out in the resource center or long-term care or whatever, because if they're sending EMS, fire and law to these facilities, they have to know, because it changes how they dress out. I know right now, I think Glenwood EMS is dressing out, I don't recall if there was up on that hill, or it'd be Glenhaven or whatever, because it's a pretty chance, especially with the transport. So we're just gonna have to keep an eye on that and stay ahead of it, and Julie's staff shouldn't really burn the midnight oil and downly, I can tell by the numbers and the data coming out of her office, and it makes it kinda hard, because it stresses everyone, and then of course, if you have a hiccup along the way, where you have a family friend or somebody that comes down with it, you've got that added stress on you anyway in the back of your mind, worrying about them, so that's things we have to be aware of, and we're all human, so we just gotta try and get through this, and I don't know, we'll see what the vaccine does, and what the gestation period of that vaccine, from the level of immunity that people get, and how we transition from this pandemic into whatever it's gonna be, whether it's gonna be something similar to the flu, which I doubt it is, because flu is kind of a seasonal thing we play with, fall, early spring, it seems like, and a few mechanisms throughout the year, where this could be something that you could acquire, like these years, any time of year, possibly, you're not protected. So, let's hope the vaccine works.
You don't hear about heart attacks, you don't hear about other diseases, it's just.
When did you say that you're internally becoming?
I'm this one that's coming in a minute.
And it's
Tomorrow will be
Briar
good.
Cliff?
Not Morning, but.
Well, they apparently don't have any nurses, people.
They have any
Morning,
nurses
I
send them
haven't
to me.
What are the numbers on the vaccine? They, is it, I would say nothing's foolproof, is it 90%? Not functional, but.
I felt like maybe.
Yeah.
And I think it should depend on the person,
Without a doubt, I mean,
But there's
it's
just
just like,
something
it's
like-
still,
I think it's gonna be better in flu. Flu is when you develop it, from my
you
understanding.
don't know what strain you're getting with
Yeah.
the flu, at least
Flu
this
is,
thing can
yes,
focus.
they're basically, they're using some calculation, best practice, they're hoping that they got the right check across the board, and then they
Right.
develop a vaccine, and some takes on some people, it has a lot of immunity, protection, and some it doesn't. And I think that's where the bogey is, for some people doesn't want to get the flu shot. And then whatever, this is
And
gonna
of
be
course-
different, I think, but it's gonna be it's supposed to provide a level of immunity, especially if you get the booster, similar to other protective vaccines.
So you get the flu shot, turn around, take the COVID shot, that scares me, is this a,
No,
is this,
no, they're two different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, I mean,
You
that's
definitely
people are.
wanna get your flu shot. Yeah, that's an illness you wanna put a cap on.
Is the vaccine a shot, or is it a pill, or is it a
Shot.
drink? Shot.
I get located on the fourth and.
There's this football thing or something, you're good.
We got,
Later. The goal date was November first, but
Right.
I think we got off the fast track.
yeah.
You get an election, you get a shot.
There you go.
How we do with that?
Or you vote, you get a shot,
How
That's
we
right.
do with that,
Alright, that's all I have for you.
Oh, Julie,
Bye.
thank you.
Hi Corey, how are you?
Guys, good.
Corey, I received this email, project number RFMC 065, yada, yada, United Contractors Insurance, so
I responded to those, yep.
that's yours. Forget you know what to do with it.
Yeah, the quarterly, not quite quarterly.
He's a small surprise, so.
Is that for like bond or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it's, contractor's bond, prevention, project.
Okay.
Utility permit report, we want to know anything on this?
None?
We will
I
have,
see it.
we'll have
Just
one, next week after, what we're working on. First action item is approve pay voucher or pay application 12 to Genesis Contractors for the new shop and admin building. Amount is $194,322.50. Most of this is, we got overhead doors, our shop, and then drywall and HVAC, electrical, and we have under $1 million left. Balance of finish is $919,000.
Concrete outside.
There were, we poured this for yesterday morning and also Friday,
So
so,
south side they got forward, some other agreement.
they poured on the backside of the wash bay and on the south side, yesterday morning.
Big portion of it.
About 150 yards,
They use the machine that grades it, that finishes the form, or they using guys?
they got both, they have a hand flow, hand flow screed, and they also, just have manual screed.
They're just cooking right along, aren't they?
Yeah,
Will we be able to have our support meeting?
Yes.
we have a progress meeting next Thursday, or tomorrow.
Positive.
Hope so, we could have raised this and, special flavor, like, remember how he always asked, who were their last?
No.
He's
Who's bringing those?
really sick, of course he's pretty good. So, I did,
Not Dunkin' Donuts, but Krispy.
Krispy Kremes.
Does anybody in town even follow this?
No, I'll go.
I do have a progress meeting tomorrow, so I'll
Send us
answer.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Because we could change it.
You're looking at a week, it's gonna sit for you to park on it. If they have a grade that you get up onto it to park. So, I don't wanna park on the street, I'm on you.
Yeah. If the exterior pavement's not, I mean,
Yeah,
we
we're the radio.
we probably won't. That'd be really optimistic. For that.
I am.
Okay. Alright, so we made this,
Yes, I make a motion to approve the app 12 to Genesis Contracting for $194,322.50.
I'll second that motion, is there any discussion? Mr. Stolmes and Corey, all those in favor? Alright,
Bottom right. Next item is authorizing the board chair to sign the conveyor belt agreement addendum or amendment.
Oh, amendment. It's an amendment.
It says it in
Sorry, it should be amendment.
Okay.
I said it.
so your motion to approve the agenda.
Well, it's same letters.
We approved it last week, this is just to authorize to sign it. Ames has signed it also.
Your motion,
let's have the board chair to sign the conveyor belt amendment for the Ames construction.
second
signed it.
Good.
Put it on the books, and they said that they extended their, $600,000 lump sum in the next couple weeks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Doesn't your signature, the bottom left, and then the signature too, and then we'll copy.
Ready? Sure.
Yeah, I had a question on that driveway, just to defer, switch gears here for a minute.
So sore.
I have a landowner that wants a survey done.
Where are we at?
It's for, this is, Hugh usually handle these, right? Isn't he still out? It looked like Richard approved it. I'm sure he went with you. Let's refresh this. The existing owner here has always got along with this guy.
Do they know shared driveway?
Well, no, okay, that's what I'm getting.
Oh,
That's
David
where I'm
Rowe.
going.
Oh,
The new buyer and this guy do not get along. And maybe I read their permit wrong, you might wanna make a note of it, but the permit, it was approved because there's no access to this. No legal access, shall we say, okay? It has always been accessed through there. And the permit is to extend the existing driveway to the maximum 45-foot ag. Does that verbiage sound somewhat correct? It's 45 foot
45 is the
top?
max for the ag.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we do that, he's gonna have about 11 feet of drive. So he was told, according, I'm hearing this second, third hand, he was told that if we would permit one on his own, there would have to be a 20-foot gap between. This tube right now goes like this. From what I'm told, I have not seen
Yeah, it looks
that.
it
like
looks
there's
like
an
a
outlet.
tube sticking out there.
Yeah, so I think they are gonna want 45 footer here.
Okay.
So they may be coming in, this is all under the existing buyer, the existing owner now, so the new buyer can't apply to do it his way, the way he wants, because he has no control over it.
Exactly.
So it's just, I'm just
Who
giving
owns that
you
now?
well, let's see it, that is the existing owner. So it's, you're gonna see that request come through, I guess that's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
And I think by rights, we have to give them an access.
Yeah, we can't landlock.
Right. Nor can we make a neighbor give them one, even though they've had it. I mean, if it went to court, odds are you would have one, but the new buyer just doesn't want the issue.
Okay.
And of course, eventually, it's like a 5 or 10 year plan, but they would like to put a house back here and keep farming this, so they would like the ag, but just have their own. So, I'm not sure the new owner, there's no blame here at all, I'm sure that the existing owner did not know what to ask for, how to ask for it, but I'm just kind of bringing it to your attention that you're probably gonna see it.
Okay.
So, food for thought. Now we get the auditor to finish some sketch, but I thought it'd be.
Hey, I did all, I sent them all to you.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I think it's nice to have an office. Chairs and coffee.
Kind of, I sneak out back there and hide out.
Did you?
We have one other action item. It's open an award
Oh,
bid.
sorry, where are those? Figured you were done.
No, I got.
This is you too. Okay.
Open award bid for cash grant on Bar Reserve near M1 structure, Quick Avenue. I had to do a little research on this. It's in an area that, as it states, it's Bar Reserve. We want to keep it, in case we do material ever. We passed this 5-year increments of cash rent. Came up at the end of this year, so this is for the next 5 years.
Right by the dam.
Yeah.
Let's see, where we at? I don't either.
Yeah, there.
It's right around here. Yeah.
Here's the dam.
There.
Feel it.
Have an easement on that?
I think it's just not shown on Beacon. I'm exempt. Yeah, they got 12.23 acres exempt. Because it's considered right away.
By easement or fee?
I can do some digging.
Okay.
So, first bid's from David Goodman. Cash for a bid of $200 per acre for 1.78 acres in one structure bar reserve.
1.78 acres.
Yes. And second one is from Bid.
How the fuck is 1.78?
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yep.
Is that all that we own? Here.
It's not showing that we own it. That's kind of weird too.
Yeah, there's a couple areas where the right of way is showing in light blue but not showing on the parcel.
Right.
Bid from Vince is for $201 per acre. Yeah.
I would say today we probably better handle that because
Yep.
somebody needs to review what's wrong.
Well, we don't have that.
Yeah,
Sheet
yeah,
too.
in order for that to happen, yeah.
Okay, so lose the bid, and we'll table it to the next week.
I will make the motion to receive the bids. Allow that. I guess,
And I second that.
we have a motion and a second to accept the bids. Is there any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Hey, my last,
Oh,
we have,
your favorite.
snow removal call list. I don't know if you guys want a copy, but I believe we're just gonna come to the town center, but.
Yeah.
Down there.
Oh, you all want me too, so I know who I can call. I
Yeah,
can't get here
That
for
was just
Melbourne.
next.
and that's,
Is you back?
not yet. Yeah, check up on the, check up next week. I'll find out how he's doing. What time I'm going to return. I haven't really talked to him in the last week or so, but he's getting a lot better.
Good.
Not to have as much pain, so that's good.
Over here.
With the call list, the foreman on duty is the first person the town center should contact. Second person is always me, and then third is the other foreman. You will see whose name on this list. We either well, we've talked about either having one of the other foremen do it or just have him call me, and I think it's just gonna be me, especially for these first 2 times that he was on the list. Hopefully we don't really snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
Cities up north already do snow.
6 inches.
Crazy.
No, well, it's happened the last couple of years here.
And I just thought hit some of the highlights of our snow removal policy.
I don't know.
Just always good to review. We don't have a what's the correct wording? It's not a dry pavement goal snow removal policy. It's clear the snow to passable conditions. We do expect motorist responsibilities. That means their speed should be at least 25 miles per hour under legally permitted. Speed limit, that'd be 30 miles an hour on most roads. If it's only a single lane open, they shouldn't be exceeding 10 miles per hour. Our priorities are paved routes. It goes open up a single lane, then open up two lanes. And then after the initial efforts, all of services within normal working hours. And then we'll go out and try and get county or gravel roads, and graders to do too. We do have the service 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. is on limits. That's more liability issues. And also to give our guys a break. Have the guys do split shifts. And you don't have.
But basically, we head out at 5.
If he has to.
Yeah, we'll get them in. Usually, we'll call them in, try and get them there to the shop at 4:30 if they're gonna be there. Leaving at 5. Just time it takes to get the trucks on, get sand, salt loaded in the trucks, get heading out. It takes 30-45
Sure.
minutes. And we don't do frost service. And that's just
So then,
none of the
so
highlights.
what you're trying to say is for the motorist to be responsible.
Yeah.
And that is a problem. They all wanna go 90 miles an hour in a blizzard. I don't. They'll be late and they'll be in the pit, and it's gonna be your fault.
That is kind of the highlights. We do respond to emergencies. the only time we do go out, overnight or after hours. And that's, I'm more concerned with sheriff department, deputies, and you guys. It's, a risk of loss of life. That's not a car, I mean, if it's a flipped over car, stuck in a ditch, yes, but if it's just a car that slid off into the ditch, it's not.
Then who gets the call? I mean, who's the one that,
Deputies call the comm center
Right.
calls the man on the list.
so then they call the first man that's supposed to go out?
So for an emergency,
Right.
if it's on L55,
it's
they
in-
call the top driver for that road.
Okay,
Maybe
okay.
maybe another extra guy or two just for help load, help maybe we want to get the trucks out there.
That's how it does it. Got it.
Hi, Lori.
Right.
Quick overview.
It's just what we don't worry about.
Yeah, and for general discussion, some of the question information from last week about FEMA, total cost. We have $1.74 million of FEMA confirmed damages from 2019 flood. So that'd be 1.3 million. The federal government would be obligated to us, but we received most of that already. $175,000 from the state government,
75, 10, or 15?
7510.
75, 10.
So responsible for 15%. Question about how long it took for the obligation that we got last, or the money that we got last week, for our roads completed previously, May 2019. And so I turned in the project completion certificate on May 11th and received the check on October 12th, 5 months. I think that's about other questions from last week. Yeah.
So how much are you left, how much is left for you to get then of that money, did you say? You said we received most of it.
We are waiting on 190th Street overpass amount, which that's like $660,000. So instead of
Is that what we're 15%?
so our 15% would be
Okay.
72,000. We also are waiting for our management costs. Yep. That one, so I have project closeout for 9th Street. Like I just told you, it took 5 months from our project completion to receive the check. Hopefully, quicker. The last one, management costs. Otherwise, I think we can pay for, all of our 6 other projects. And then we are also still in the appeals process for, the bridge. Kind of junky. JAH.
Oh,
Middle maintenance on Silver Creek.
Okay.
So that's kind of that updates. We will still have an ER patching project for L31's southwest of Glenwood, heading up Lambert Avenue, and it's Claxton City, or Claxton. That's just some upcoming project we're looking for that stuff. Otherwise, it's pretty much wrapping up flood.
Nice seeing that, some of it.
Yes,
You waited long enough.
it's been a long
Doing
process.
over and over and over reports. Good job. Yay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Richard's got any questions on that, or anything?
It does.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Cory.
You do, Cory.
I didn't hear you. Good morning, Lance. When he gets in here.
Sure.
You guys. Authorize the chair to sign the urban renewal extension for Glenbrook 5.
I'll speak
Now,
upon this.
Marion, Maple.
Maplewood Circle.
Maple,
Circle.
Maplewood Circle.
So, this is in, so, Mr. Hughes has asked for incremental tax revenues for that property. And pursuant to section 403.22 of the Code of Iowa, this board would have to approve the use of the city of Glenwood of future incremental property tax revenues produced within the urban renewal area for a period of 13 years in connection with the Glenwood Division 5 project. Okay.
How many years? 13?
Yeah, 13. Normally it's 10, but he's asking for 13.
normally what?
It's 10. And he's requesting, because of the type of project that it is, he's asking for us to give that blessing.
Is it because it's kind of a big project?
Well, hopefully it'll work, hopefully it'll happen faster, but just depends, you know, on how it goes, and so everything costs more. Yeah,
This is the one on Sixth Street.
Yeah.
As long as you fill it, it's not gonna be a problem, right, Jim? As long as you fill it, it's not gonna be a problem.
no. They're, hopefully they're gonna pave on the 3rd or the 4th of November, weather permitting.
I'm jumping on the survey right now. Finish that.
You know, you just can't find good values, okay? No surveyors.
That's right.
Val.
We did, that's right.
They're,
Interview inspectors, right?
that's right. Yeah, but everything is going good, they're working up there today on the storm, so.
They are, they're up the hill and they want the stakes for the.
See you later, Travis.
So they can finish it tomorrow.
Perfect.
They're pushing, you must be pushing them because they're pushing down.
Okay, good. Yeah, cause we kinda had, we got on them a little bit, so.
Yeah.
When are you gonna do that?
Roll downhill, so.
Well,
We're so excited to get this moving.
we was hoping we could get something going in there this year starting, but that's, boy, probably won't
Hurry
happen.
up and wait.
Oh, really?
You might be able to get a couple.
We might.
Yeah.
might. You know, you got the street lights to come,
Oh, there's gonna be streetlights.
oh, yeah,
What's it?
yeah,
I mean, people think there needs to be streetlights up here.
yeah.
Am I right?
But everything is going good on it.
of those set already.
Yeah, it's flowing.
Yeah, they were supposed to pour on the 19th, and they kind of forgot about it, I think, so.
I think they jumped to a different project.
We
They got a new-
reminded them.
They got a new excuse now, kind of, construction crew has COVID or something like that, so. But anyhow, which is legit, I guess
Yeah.
that's, but anyhow, they're on it now, they seem to be.
Right.
They're starting to
And we're really-
understand concrete's good.
Well, we're really kind of happy with the contractor, I think he's legit, you know, I know.
And who is it?
He's with
Compass.
Compass out of Council Bluffs, so,
Compass.
and then the one out by the church is Blue, who's
No.
doing that.
It's Bluffs.
Bluffs paving, I'm sorry, Bluffs
It
paving,
used to be blue.
yeah, he's,
They're really good too.
yeah,
They're good.
They're very good.
So it's not their first rodeo.
no,
And they self-initiate meetings, it was their idea, let's have a weekly meeting, you know, and so they come down and we meet, we met at the site last week, and so we'll meet at the office this week unless there's something.
Very good.
But,
the school's excited that it's going.
Right.
So,
More students, more taxes, helps
Yep.
everybody.
so.
You get some of this housing we lost.
So,
Alright, should we approve his request?
I make a motion to approve, for the chair to sign the herbal renewal extension for number 5.
I will second that motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes.
Yeah.
Aye.
And Carol, that works, if it pays out faster, it ends faster, but it never goes past the 13.
Got it.
Jim, how does that work? Let's just say in your 12th year, 12th, in your 13th year, your last year, you haven't filled it, so you're getting after it, you built the last 6 houses in there. Since we're a year behind taxing, how does that help you? Cause after year 13, we're done, right?
Yeah.
So you have,
No,
really you have to do it in 11.
we need to get it done faster. The
Right.
faster we do it, the better off the whole thing works for
For
everybody.
everybody, right?
And
Because it
of
builds
course,
the incremental value to pay the thing
Yeah.
off a lot.
Yeah.
We don't get anything unless we build the houses and
Yes.
increase
Yeah,
the valuation, so,
yeah,
and it's no risk to anybody except us.
right,
And so, like the county has no obligation, or the city,
or the school,
or the school, so.
right,
The school still gets their money first,
Yes.
on.
All debt services,
Yeah.
county's
I
debt,
don't know if you're
city's
familiar
debt,
with how
all
this works,
that.
Carol,
Count
but-
all the debt first.
Yeah,
but right now he pays, we're just gonna throw this out here, right now he pays $340 for that one piece,
Okay.
and once this is set, the school, the county, the state, everybody, Iowa Western still gets their piece of that 340.
Okay.
So it doesn't affect them at all until the end when they get more. If
At the 13th year.
no, well, yes, at the 13th year, yes, or once it's paid off.
Yeah.
If you get, if you get it done sooner, but it doesn't take the taxes away to help him pay for it. It freezes it. So the school, the county, the city, everyone still gets what they're getting right now, and then the increment between what they're getting now and the valuation that he increases by building homes, that goes, back to pay the TIF debt off.
It's almost like the profit comes back to him after all the
Yeah.
expenses are taken out of the
Sure.
site.
And then the 13th year, it's full.
then I guess there's been some cases in the past, I think maybe possibly Woodfield, where they got extended past that, I believe, Carol, I don't know if that's.
Woodfield?
No,
Did
Woodfield,
not.
no, Woodfield paid theirs off.
Did it get?
Well, yeah, he did, and now I think we're in the last year of
Yeah,
paying that.
so we paid them instead.
A lot of stuff on your desk,
Interesting.
and I'm working my way through that.
But in my TIFs, they're fully funded by us. You know, we borrow money from the bank, and the city or the county has no obligation to the debt. So, what happens in a lot of other towns is the city and the county does the project and
Right.
holds the TIF, and then there's really not a terrific incentive to build, and so sometimes it doesn't pay back. So,
He's borrowed the money, if he doesn't pay it off with the TIF, through TIF, he owes it.
everyone we've done is work,
Yes.
so,
It's a great tool that's used, Brian.
yeah,
It's a great tool that's used, Brian.
yeah, it
I was gonna say,
really,
I think didn't we pay Hickory Ridge paid off?
Yeah,
some of it?
yeah. what to get for an example, take Hickory Ridge, take 70 times 4, it's $280,000 a year on the taxes today. Probably when it started, it was, getting $10 an acre times
Right.
50 acres,
Right.
so.
And the students in the school,
But to be real
water,
honest-
sewer,
To be real
water.
honest about that, Carol, it's, taxes are a scary thing, and, you know, like, these $400,000 house, you know, you got $8,000 real estate tax. And if interest rates start moving up, it's gonna hurt. It's a scary, I don't care where you go, it's kind of the fact. But it is, it is a scary deal. So all of a sudden, you know, like, you know, we talk about Omaha and stuff like that, but we're catching up.
This is one house in Hickory Ridge, Carol. Their taxes, net taxes due are $8,300 a year. And it's on a piece of ground. I mean, Jim wasn't paying that much on all of the dirt before it was there.
Yeah,
So that's just one home. So you have to take that time, but Jim said 50, 52, whatever.
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. It adds up quick.
yeah.
And it costs you $1,000 a month just to live there,
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
even if you don't live there.
Okey doke. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
You
you.
bet. See everybody.
Yep.
How do you, Lonnie, how do you get the blue, the flood
You get a chance.
plate on there,
This
on the
is,
map?
Corey, turn that on, Jim. Over here on your left side, there's a layer list.
Yes,
So he's got the right of way shown there.
yeah.
Does
When
everyone
you come
have
down the
access
flood
to that?
zones. What's that?
Does
Nope,
everyone have access to turn that on?
Yes, yeah. Right here, you go to flood zone, Jim.
yeah.
You just turn that layer on.
Now, didn't it turn blue before?
That was the right of way.
That was the right of way, Jim.
Oh, the right of way turns, I was looking at Mike Ramirez's house
Oh,
yesterday.
well, you know what? For different zones, yes, it will. Let me,
He was looking at his, cause he got something from his insurance company.
yeah, there's some blue. So this is a zone C in yellow.
Yeah,
The blue is zone A9.
okay, gotcha.
So A zones are blue, C zones are yellow. I'm sure that, I think there's an orange in there too somewhere. If I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. That's a good way to look at it. Everything's in a flood zone. It's just whether you're in a high risk zone or not.
Okay,
We tell people it's Mount McEwen's in a flood zone.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
a low risk area.
Okay,
okay, okay.
perfect, alright.
Well, yeah, thanks you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
See you later.
Enjoy.
We're still waiting on you out there.
We'll see what we can do.
We're digging. See you guys.
See you.
Good to see you, Joe. Sandy.
Has anybody called Ken?
Yes, I
Okay.
talked to him yesterday, or sent me an email. He said, yeah, I told him he was here by 9:30.
Oh, alright.
He
That's
should
probably
be
what it
good.
is.
We've got one more thing here, set the hearing date to amend the ordinance for ATVs and UTVs. What do you think of this, Robertson?
Okay, so
What's
we
going
need,
on?
well, we need to make a decision, as far as November, is November 5th on a Thursday a good day for you guys to meet after, because we're gonna do it after the election. So either the 4th or the 5th, I would prefer the 5th, which is a Thursday morning. Does that work for you guys?
Yes. And I've already got them on my calendar.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that we were still on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you wanna set it for November 5th?
Yes. And then we'll have the first reading on that day, and then on the 10th, we should have the second and the third reading, providing there's no discussion. And then
What are we amending on that?
that is the registration fee for $30 per year.
Oh, okay.
That's, yeah.
Okay. Good. Do we have a motion to set the hearing date to amend the ordinance for ATVs and UTVs?
So move.
Good, a motion by Benton, second by Mayberry to set the hearing date for November 5th. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. And the demolition contract, Carol, we're just gonna do that next week, is that?
Yes.
Easy enough. We will take a quick break here and Well, next item on the agenda is, to discuss, the fiber extension. For Mills County, it's a good chunk of it right now. I'm getting clues to this guy, because that blinded me. Oh.
Well, 55 years, yeah. I'm gonna say one of my employees got a letter. She's excited.
We sent out all last week, I think it was all the address with that CARES Act. We all got letters last week, so.
And
Postcard
what's
in
the,
order.
the question is, what the section of the
We had them last week on the,
Okay.
on the board that, basically from Highway 34 up to. We got it up there.
You're still up.
Basically, the people in pink got the letter last week. So. We looked yesterday, before I took off, we had over 100 signups ready. So.
Ken,
So
that
I think
will,
the question was.
I think our plan was to come off here.
Was,
So part of this will be encompassed, be included in what they're doing already,
Yep.
so we
Yep.
need to sit down and do some fine tuning on our
what's the
route.
they don't-
Once we know how much money we have to work with.
It's not on there, but when the customer service, when they sign up, or when they get in to sign up, for our 100 by 100 or basic package, it's $6.99 that month for internet, and then I think they're eligible right now for the first year promo, $49.99. That is incredibly good.
It's very good.
I mean,
And 100 up and down.
our
And
minimum,
what you're getting for that is even.
It
our
was,
minimum wireless that we acquired with Spiral,
here.
that's about where that's at.
You know,
Sure.
okay.
Yes.
It's just wireless.
It's like, come on.
It's that
But,
close.
okay, so in, one of the gals in the office, she's right in the cusp of that. She's on the corner there at, see where, there's, Jack, she lives right there, what road is that? It comes up and it intersects right there.
250th?
Martin Richter?
No, Jack.
I
This
know
Jack,
it's-
my Jack,
That's
Ember.
what Martin Richter, that's just 250.
Okay, no, it would be the one right across from, Cambridge's. She's on that corner lot right there,
Oh, okay, Woodfield,
Woodfield.
so
Yeah.
she's on 221st.
No,
Well, Cameron's on 221st.
okay, the subdivision.
Woodfield subdivision is part of it.
Yeah, okay, so right across the street there on the corner, like I said, she got one, but she's wondering how they're running the fiber, cause she said CenturyLink already, they have a big thing in their yard and, you know, what have you. I don't know.
There'll be pedestals throughout the route, obviously where we have to stop and we'll flag it all out and we'll have our engineer out there
Yes.
ahead of time, putting a pink flag in, basically homeowners then, what would happen is we'll send out a construction letter when it begins in an area. Obviously if you have a flag in an area that, hey, this is where I always pile snow, this is where I always do this, let us know if this is shifted over 5 feet, whatever that is, we can work with them to an extent, but at times, it needs to be. Yes, if you go to our radio website. Do the same as what we got from Carol, so 100 by 100 is $69.99, $99.99, and $149.99 for a gig.
Wow. And the 100 symmetrical.
100
So it's
symmetrical.
500.
Yep,
Yeah.
up to 500 is symmetrical. And we will be introducing here in the next little bit, probably a 250 by 250 package. Because over the last, we tried to make it easier on customers. I mean, when we first started introducing fiber, our ILX up north, we still had 5 meg, 25 meg, but now that everything is obviously blown up, make it easy, 100, 500 gig. Our band has not grown by, seeing those customers switch over to that, but, and then we're just gonna do that 250 by 250 now, because, a lot of people, 100 by 100, they're using 100 meg anymore, and it's, well, do I wanna pay $99.99? No, but maybe I'll pay $89, $20 a month more,
So
That's
what
what
is
we're gonna
the,
Well, right now, where I live, all I can get is satellite,
oh,
and it's more than that.
Yeah.
For
say is,
More than that for less than that.
yeah, cause what they say
You
is,
get
we
nothing.
kinda get what you get.
I was gonna say, what, okay, so what can you do with 100 meg? I mean,
So like a typical HD video stream that you're pulling is 6 meg. So if you're watching a HD content, now if you start watching 4K, something like that, you're talking 25 meg that you need. Kids gaming devices, you're up in that same 25 to 35 meg. But then that's so if you don't have a TV service at all in your house, all you're doing is streaming like Netflix, Hulu, YouTube
Yeah.
TV. So every single one of the devices is pulling 6 to 10 meg possibly. And then obviously all the users as well, streaming Facebook, whatever they have on, social media on their devices as well.
Carol, the thing that has probably changed a little bit with, COVID-19, people working from home and stuff. I know like mine, I'll just have to come in town sometimes because like if we're transferring some big files or something like that,
You can't upload it.
there's just not enough horsepower. There's just not. And so that can kind of get you in a bind, but that's still all well under 100. Chris, to your point, I think it's when you have 5, 6 devices, because the average house now has 11 devices, 11 connected devices.
Probably.
That's the stats. But you get 5, 6 of those in action, all doing,
Facebook gaming, streaming, yeah.
it can add up.
Security cameras, whatever that is,
Yep.
that's all uploading back up to the web, for storage. So every time the UPS guy or your dog runs by it, that sends a stream
Cat,
back up.
yeah.
Cat, yep.
oh god, yeah.
But still 100, and Chris, I think what you were saying, 100 is pretty, it's good.
It's gonna get 90% of your.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
minimum, we have like, off and on, 2 cell phones. We have 2 TVs, we stream Hulu and Netflix,
Yep.
and I don't have any other provider.
That would be
If
smart.
you use email, we'll sell you a gig all day long, that's all you use. Probably not gonna need it, and that's the
Probably
thing,
not.
right, trying to educate customers of what they truly
Right.
need, and, you can tell them till you're blue in the face, they came off of a wireless, or even a satellite, and they said, I don't care, I'm gonna pay for your most expensive package because I
I'm
want
tired
it, cause I
of
can
this.
get it.
Yeah.
I paid that with my old, and it was terrible, you don't need it, but.
And Kurt, this is just one other kind of quick perspective thing. So when we were doing the broadband study, I was talking to different folks, and one of them I talked to a friend, So, did you guys connect?
We're not out there, but
Okay.
we've talked to them
Okay.
multiple times.
So, 2 years ago, just to give you a perspective, 2 years ago, they were operating the entire facility on 10.
Oh,
That was just 2
really?
years ago. And he said, when I was talking to him, they're like, we get by. I was like, no, you don't.
Oh.
They just didn't know the difference. But he said, we're hoping to move up to 100. And I was like, when you go up to 100, you're going to see what the real world is like.
Yeah, like the sheriffs, I mean, their cameras in their cars automatically download when they pull up and they're in range, at the sheriff's station.
They don't have to sit there overtime.
Yeah, we were paying them to sit aside for it to, upload and download, whatever it is, and now it's done by the city walking.
So
And it's cheaper,
if they go on right
and
now,
our IT guys
and
happy,
sign up,
we're getting rid of,
they
we're
would
getting rid of the
get
IT.
they would get the 49, they'd get the 49.99.
Yep,
Two
first
years.
year, the first year, and then it goes, the second year goes to a 69.
So if I could go from what's completely unstable to 100 and cut what I'm paying by almost 2/3, that would be wonderful.
And that's kind of our struggle down here also with, introducing TV. We have it up in our Northern Exchange, we don't have it down here today, but folks down here also don't have the ability to really truly understand what internet TV is, because they can't,
You
their
can't get
bandwidth can't
It's not
support
an
it.
option, right?
Yeah, so, we're a little hesitant, we see cord cutting happening all over. So it's a pretty big investment on our end, that, hey, let's get internet rolled out first. Then truly see what folks' appetite is, hey, now you have this, I mean, my sister lives in Omaha, they have all YouTube TV, and it has everything they want more, it's all the locals, they're sport people, it's very geared towards sporting, great, but folks in the area can't
I
even do
can't
that
imagine.
because.
I know.
I
See, and I
can't
have
And we
imagine.
won't be able to for a little while longer.
Yeah.
We won't be able to, and Rachel won't be able to.
Yeah.
It's not that much longer.
Well, I know Pam said even down in her area, it's really bad, they don't have any, it
She
doesn't
still
show.
sticks down there,
Huh?
Carol does, well, when I was,
Carol sticks.
yeah, the cell phones, back when they were trying to
You know what?
service
Why don't
areas.
you use me as a,
A pilot.
pilot? Just come down, put it into the, because
Pilot program.
about a half a
Just
mile,
spend about $2 million to get our cable.
Yeah,
so
would
she's
you?
making $99.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Great
will
business
make
plan.
it work.
Yeah, what's the return?
Listen, so we got Tackaville coming in,
Something to 6.
we got, we got the dirt road that more people are building on, what is it?
There's 7.
The dirt road, there's gotta be a lot of people
Well,
on the dirt road.
And to that point, the challenge hasn't changed, and that is fiber still isn't cheap. I mean,
Right.
$1 million doesn't go as far as you might hope it would.
I know.
And
So,
that's the reality. I mean, when we did the,
But when the telephone, when you're getting it like a telephone line, and you get an extreme rain and it soaks the thing, so yeah. So
yeah,
this was a definite better than that.
absolutely. And fiber, just, it's the most reliable, because, and Western Networks does a great job, everything's very, it makes it more reliable. And, the fastest, the least latency, everything spins less, but it just takes money to get there. And that's the, so, but, if you guys getting CARES Act money and.
Yeah, that's huge.
And then this, and it's all, that's how it all gets done.
We're hoping this is a big jump start, and
Yeah.
I think we all agree that if everybody does a little bit in any program or.
Yeah, because that CARES Act, that was all an area that was, there's no federal money, no available for that, that's all considered served. It's not, I mean, per your study, we know that's not the
It's
truth, but,
absolutely not.
we got a guy right now that's going through all these addresses out here, and CenturyLink's really the only option that we're testing, but, doing a test of what is actually available.
It's not.
And you guys are constant too, right? You don't dial me down during the peak periods.
There's no utilization, so there's no data cap, so if you use 2 gig, hey, you're maxed out, you gotta either pay this or you get throttle way down, it's 100 by 100 all the time. Yep.
Which is so much different than everything else.
Yes.
Exactly.
Are you kidding? I locked in at $59 for CenturyLink for the rest of my life.
Had a Meg.
No, no.
Yeah,
I think I get 40.
4 a.m.
I think I get 40.
Yeah.
And in the RFI, when we did talk to CenturyLink and RFI and MediaCom and all of them, and they all responded. I mean, they all talked, but Carol, to you, their attitude or their response was, well, if we saw something we were going to do and this could help offset that, that'd be great. But they weren't looking to, like with Western Iowa Networks, they weren't looking to what can we do, where can we take this, how can we do that.
Right.
It's a completely different mindset. So in CenturyLink, if you're right next to their equipment on their DSL system, you might be all right, but get a mile away and
We're 30 miles away.
wow. Yeah. And then I'm on 34, and CenturyLink said, well, we got fiber there, but this thing's work. There's really nothing. So anytime you guys get to 34 and want to turn west, do a build back,
Keep on going.
You're-
keep on going.
So
You and Richard both.
Exactly.
So you
Close
guys,
enough to do, yeah.
you guys did not, okay, you acquired Spiral, right?
We did.
But you don't have it all, right?
No,
Because-
way from basically Tabor north is where
Well,
we
part of it, because
north about a mile, what is it, Quaid Avenue? Is there a dividing factor with, Rockport?
I have I have a gal in my office who lives in Tabor.
Okay.
She goes, has to be a married.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, she didn't have, I said, no, they were bought out. She says, no, our part goes to.
That was the dividing line of kind of where their service territory is. We do have Farragut down there yet, as part of our ILEC that we've always had, but otherwise that's our, yeah, Farragut's our fiber, one of our ILEC exchanges that when we buried PJ, we buried
So is
Farragut.
Right.
Farragut, PJ, and Macedonia.
That's
Yeah,
good.
Emerson.
And Emerson,
Emerson with, Omnitel, yeah.
And then Henderson, so I'm with Henderson, you have Henderson too, so that's all.
So,
So you just see what the independent telephone companies buy or doing, versus what our box for the Frontiers, the Sentinel, Windstream.
Completely different mindset.
Yep.
Well, that kind of brings us here today. We visited a little bit with these guys last week. I don't know if I did invite you or if I didn't, I'm sorry. I planned on it, but, yeah, it was my oversight though. Visiting with them, Ken, the board has looked over your proposal. That's it, we haven't acted on anything yet. But visiting with these guys, part of your proposal was some design. And these guys have said that they've already designed some of it, so we were concerned about paying you to design it and them. We don't wanna cut anyone, either of you, out of anything, but we just don't wanna pay twice. So that's kinda where we're here, is to have some discussion with you and him. Cause we do want you involved to oversee our project. But as for the design, if it's already done, we just didn't know what we just don't wanna pay twice for it. So that was our biggest concern. We would rather put people in the ground instead of both, so that's kinda what we wanted to visit about. Which Richard was here too. He trusts us, so we're all on the same page. We just wanna get as much, we want all of Mills County done, every road, every house for $1 million.
Even
Let's do it.
even Carol's.
In Carroll's.
and Jack.
Yours alone would be over $1 million.
So no.
The dirt road.
Yeah,
The dirt
I'll
road
come
and
up
the
with it.
cows.
yeah, the cows don't care.
Well, back to the cell phone thing, I was, every time I re-up and, I always visit with them, they talk about coverage and service, and they said, it's pretty good here and here, but over in this area, I really don't have much of it. It just doesn't work all the time, I'm down in Canyon, down in her neck of the woods, and they're like, I said, when are you guys gonna put a tower there? And they said, we're not gonna build where there's more cows than people. And that's their answer, So, I have to go up on top of a hill to make one.
Or, Green Acres, he crawled up a pole. You might have to do that once in a while. Oh,
I don't know why that would be intensive there,
It's
you're
all
closer to
done.
council bluffs, but
Yeah.
here's the thing.
it is dead. It's good.
So, let's open some discussions, what do you have, Doug?
I mean, so just looking at that, like Lonnie had mentioned, and it's, it's still as part of working for the county, there's still a piece for HR, obviously, right? I mean, as far as, is the contract that you put together for this area that we haven't even for surely identified yet where we're building to. That needs to be identified, I think. But, so as part of the county, you're putting together the contract. If you're also, are you inspecting or having someone of your staff inspecting that fiber along that route as well? So there's still obviously, as we, with our intention to ultimately end up building this or owning this, after in our RFI response of 5 years or whatever that looks like, we would probably have someone on site as well, just taking the notes. We're gonna be responsible for maintaining this fiber, so we have to tie this all back into our mapping system that we currently use. That, part of this CARES Act where this is tying in, it would all have to be one simultaneously project, all as one, so. They're still obviously not trying to cut any work out of you, but like I said, a lot of, or most of this work has already been done with our engineering staff. So looking to work with the county of what makes sense, where, does it make more sense for the county? Do you guys wanna serve more people? The most people you can possibly serve, or do you wanna serve those people out in that are truly rural, that, who is gonna?
Our goal is eventually all of it, but it's never happened at $1 million just to see here.
Let's build up.
So I mean, what we had originally proposed, was that north route, all the way from, it's basically tying in our CARES Act at Brothers Avenue and, is that 250th Street there? Where we tie into an existing handhole. Originally it was coming all the way back to our Lake Ohana, hut that we're building. But now that we're building all this, instead of us constructing right back through here at the same time, or some other time to get back here, we'll have the count sitting here, ready to go to continue on to go east. So there is some reduced build that would be, from what we originally laid out, be required. So tie in there, coming all the way back across Barris, over to 287th, south through Silver City, and down on into Highway 34. What that obviously does is, you know, with our new hut going up here, we have a fiber coming up Deacon Road, 221st, to our hut as a linear path, with a hut. But whether that fiber ever gets cut, that basically kills all these people we built. You know, so redundancy is a big thing for anyone. Same thing with Silver City, Mineola. These towns would all be served redundantly through CARES this way as well as this way. So whether there's, you know, someone's out there digging and forgets to call on a locator, whatever that looks like, we have redundancy built in the way we always build our networks and how we kind of design and lay this out. And then what we kind of laid out was, you know, coming off of Gaston Avenue, where there is more concentrated groups of housing,
Right.
you know, coming up to essentially right here and doing this. I believe it's
That's not part of your project though, your CARES project.
not
This-
CARES. Nope, this was what we had
This is
originally laid out in our.
This is the Western
In our
Iowa Networks plan for Western Iowa Networks.
This was for Mills County, what we had put out in our proposal. So that was basically 5 miles for this project alone to tie off of 287th. And then there was the piece coming out of Mineola to the south, basically coming down
250th. That's
260th?
260th.
Yep, coming down 260th out of Mineola, out of that cabinet, coming down, making the loop and serving basically these groups of homes all throughout here as well. So that's kind of our, you know, what we had laid out or intentionally originally. That, you know, just that main line cost that we're looking.
Why would you come down 260th and not 250th?
Just the area where it's actually being fed out. The cabinet would sit in Mineola,
Okay,
where all these customers would be fed out of.
okay,
So your count, to get the right size count coming down there.
okay. I just figured 250th had more houses on it than 260th. But it may not.
I don't know, I'd have to look at our whole overall design of what we have, how that would officially be fed. Some of this is actually being fed back out of the Ohana. It's the way our engineers laid out the entire,
That's just your plan.
that's our plan,
That's,
yep. Yep.
That's your, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's where, you know, getting Ken involved or whatever and looking over all this.
Well, our intent so far has been to come down Barris, part of that is covered by your CARES project.
Yep.
But to go, you continue through Mineola, down through Silver City, 34. What we would do if we had any remainder would be, yet to be determined, let me say. But
So just high level cost figuring. I know if we're looking at construction only, then the county would be responsible for. Roughly, or rural miles, we're looking at about $37,000 a mile. And I don't know where Ken, I know we've had some discussions in the past. I don't know where he ever came up with anything, but from what
We
we
didn't really have a route yet, so.
From what we
That
see,
makes sense though.
$37,000 a
Yeah.
mile for rural, and then
Yep.
basically whenever you get into a city, we always factor $100,000 a mile of city mile, because that's all needs to be bored. Yep.
Oh,
So just out of the from our existing point where we're leaving off in Mineola there at Brothers Avenue, where we're stopping, where we would tie in, we're basically we have what is it, 10.6, about 10.7 miles to get back to Highway 34 for that piece of rural build, and then going through the towns of Mineola, just the main line route, not going, any of the spurs. In Mineola or Silver City, we have about 1.2 miles in the town build on each each of those. So we're at about 510,000 roughly, for that piece alone. Now if we did the other routes out in our RFI
You see
response,
that, you see that piece alone, that's not coming back up 250th, 260th, that's just down.
that's that piece alone.
Down Silver City.
Yep.
Down through Silver City to 34, and then in Meadville.
Correct. Yep, and then Western Iowa Networks, what our, we would do on top of all this is we would commit to overbuilding the town of Mineola. Any customers along that route, directly off that route, and then also serving everyone in Silver City, overbuilding the town of Silver City.
They will go nuts.
So that was what we would intend to do with that, and that would be not be part of that $510,000. That would be all costs that we Western Iowa Networks comes over.
But you've gotta come a long ways with nobody there.
Yeah, part of building a rural there.
Point stated.
We're going through Silver City and Mineola, Carol. We're not going through cows.
Yeah. But I'm thinking you could go 275.
The end
And
user
then-
has hundreds of homes, not one.
Hundreds of cows.
Or
You
other
might
exotic
find love
animals.
here.
So that's that piece alone of what we were looking at. And then the coming out of Silver City, that route was off of Gasson Avenue, coming back up 250th. That was about 5 miles. And then coming south out of Mineola, that route we had about 7.6 miles. And that alone, we were up to the overall project about $980,000. So depending on what, if it's add million, that's the fiber alone, and then we have talked to Ken's and getting a number of what that looks like, for Ken's project, the contract together, all of that, overseeing this, so.
We'll cover the 980 again, that's.
Do you have a hookup to that projector too?
And this, of course, this meeting, we're not gonna set anything.
Yep, no, it just-
We have several discussions we have to have before we pull the plug. We would select X. And I would love to see us get another loop back in at Glenwood, just to help the school in Jim's subdivision and the city.
So if that was,
If we can get you coming into town from two different directions, that's gonna help your plan to get through town in the long run.
just depends on where it's.
Right. I'd love to see people use it.
They never had to improve themselves.
Their customer service is just, nobody I've spoken with is happy with it.
No.
I want another option, cause competition breeds competition.
That's right. They knew they
It
had
ends
to.
up in better service and better rates for the people that we take care of.
We had an issue started Friday morning up in our Carroll, is tied to Carroll only. Verizon, we're a US Cellular distributor in Carroll as well, but Verizon has the market share in Carroll. Verizon customers could not call any of our Carroll customers. Well, our customers called us saying, people can't call us. Fortunately, you have to call Verizon and put a trouble ticket in. It's something on their end. Two of our employees work over in the Denison area where US Cellular doesn't have very good coverage, so Verizon plan. We tried to put in trouble tickets for roughly 12 hours on Friday. Could not enter a trouble ticket. We luckily had through one of our long distance carriers, had a way that a call was routed that we could trace it out to prove that, hey, this is failing in Verizon. It's never hitting our network. And Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock is finally resolved. I hate to guess how many people try to call and put in trouble ticket. You just can't talk to him. And that's why, we're calling people back on. I said, hey staff, we're gonna call every single person back and on Monday and say, hey, this has been notified. There was a Verizon made a routing change. Well, why are you calling me back? You know, I couldn't even talk to Verizon. Well, we wanted to let you know as a result. You're like, well, that's unheard of. So just try to, you know,
Very nice.
that's okay if I disconnect this, isn't it?
Oh, he does, believe me.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all gone. I
Probably in the hall.
mine over there.
You got little shaker bottles too, huh?
They're not good, Ryan, because there's no, I mean, you have to take it from the top. It needs sprayers on them.
Oh.
They're not good.
Pretty thin.
Pretty alcoholic.
I just got him over there. He's somebody walked right in.
Well, no, he must have been somewhere else then. We haven't got this stuff back.
There you go.
So that is kind of that route that we're talking. Obviously, where I was talking at Brothers Avenue, where we would be ending in the CARES Act, tying in. That's where we'd leave the count, you know, to tie back into our network, coming through Mineola, back down to Highway 34, back down here.
Can I take a picture of that?
You know, so that's where we, you know, so
That's
Do-
roughly $1 million.
that right there.
All of that.
Yep. And then
So I see that
This I
yellow
also
just
had.
stops.
right here.
Right.
Yes,
So-
because I don't know if there's any homes
And where's
beyond
that at?
250th between.
Almost 8 inches in steels.
Yeah, so
Martin Richter's,
we would serve
South Martin.
the homes right here. They'd be served off of that route. This
Okay,
guy would be served off to that route.
got it.
And is this all fiber that if people, if it's in front of their house, they can tie into it?
On these designed routes, yes.
Okay.
And anywhere on this route, anything right off of that, we would build to. Now, to get down to a road that we don't necessarily have fiber running down, that's where we'd still deploy our interest out on our website and everything, you know. So, hey, we have 10 homes down here or whatever. Then we'd work with those people as a one-off to get
We-
fiber.
we
But
just-
we're a lot closer.
Right.
But yeah, to your point, you know, of Ken said earlier, CenturyLink, you know, you have a fiber right out in front of my house. Let me connect to it. It's a transport. You know, we're in the same boat with our Midwest Fiber Network. It's a transport line. There is some fiber of someday that if it's a larger project of how we can do this, but just tying one customer in, it doesn't. I mean, Ken can understand that you can't just tie into a fiber for one person over a transport fiber, but this is all designed to serve these customers along these routes. That is correct.
But something's gotta happen. I mean, there are people that has
Um,
nothing living in the,
You know, and then one area that we have looked at, and you know, Jim's area coming
Right.
back in.
Right.
to his new subdivision there.
Does this million include that?
That is not included in that. So what we did, and we have some of this kind of staked already. You know, if we ever were to do that, or what that looks like.
Yeah, I'll just send it to you.
Oh,
This, because of, you know, going up down your road up Ingram, there's not a whole lot of shoulders in that area as well. A lot's gonna have to be bored in that area. So our $37,000 a mile in rural area out here, is not gonna work down here.
Right.
We're looking at more like $60,000 a mile in here. So we're at, you know, for that mainline route, we're about another $120,000 to
Sure.
build, Ingram and Kidd.
There's a lot of lots popping up on Kidd and Ingram. so-
Yeah, I know there's, you know, there's 3 or 4 in here, there's
Yeah,
out in here.
yeah, and Jim's gonna have probably 70 homes in there when he's all done, so.
Yep.
You're fed in from off of 34 to our jail, if you will. So we could get you into another route.
well, I
I'd
say
like,
if we,
I'd like to see you all the way through Glenwood
I do too.
eventually, or
Yeah.
sooner than
If
later.
we can get you in that other direction,
Yep.
absolutely.
And that, I mean, part of our CARES project, we're stopping, you know, somewhere in here as far as the build is concerned, but we're built out to extend that fiber back into town because that eventually would serve additional cabinets here. When we did our new hut here, we had to obviously bore 34.
Right.
And when we came to the county, we have fiber, we have ducts, spare ducts sitting to the corner of, I forget what that road is that turns to go Railroad Street, I think,
Right.
or there's railroad that goes, so whatever that road is that comes, turn to go to Railroad Street. So, so we have count sitting right there to be able to continue that, to go more towards downtown and into Glenwood to serve Glenwood as a whole. So, obviously, this build costs a heck of a lot more than any of this, because
Right.
that's all boring.
Does it make any more sense to go Gaston down 34 to not do that and to do that running southwest? I mean, it's still more expensive, but you can still could still end up with a loop there.
You're talking, come here down?
Go there back into, because where's Jim's new subdivision?
Right here.
So, would it make more sense to just do this instead of this?
Do what you
Yes, ma'am.
To do, instead of this, to do this?
can. Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know what I would use this for, but.
For the loop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So eliminate this line coming this way
No,
and just extend it down this.
I meant eliminate
Oh, that.
and have it go there.
Just go
Oh.
down.
Because you could end up, I don't know the dollars, but you could end up with a loop this way instead of here. I mean,
All of the projected growth for the city is expected to go right through here. That's the only place we have the sewer and water that can
Support it.
feed the rest of it.
So that
We have a
is
lot of people
thought.
living in here, here, but the sewer and water cannot handle this until we spend about $2.5 million to get it back in here. So the growth is pointing towards here, but the services are not. So all of the projected growth is to come out here, past the Catholic Church, if you will.
so if you didn't do this and you did that over here, it obviously would be more expensive to connect the loop.
Mhm.
You know, it'd be more expensive, but you know, I don't know if
Wouldn't you catch a lot more traffic and people?
well, and a lot more economic development too, if what Jim's doing and all that. You know.
Right. I mean, they're building right now 30, 50 homes and they're building them. I mean, it's in progress versus.
That is an idea.
So yeah, whether we take, continue down 250th or we come down 245th back to Jim's,
Yes.
either or is an option, because I mean, once we get here, I would have to pull up we have the entire, Glenwood, a high level design kind of laid out. I would have to get that pulled up and see what this cabinet looks like, because it may make more sense even to, you know, to come down 245th. If you're, I mean, that that's a paved road also, right? So any
Plenty
growth,
of right of way.
any growth and stuff like that's more likely out this way than
Well,
You're gonna have more growth over there than you are on.
one
Right.
more.
Silver City Road. I mean, there is Silver City. It doesn't. Don't they have something out here as well? But
With,
like in this
Right.
this parcel right here, there's signs out here. I think.
Oh
but
yeah.
I think they've been.
Hughes has signs out there.
I think they've been out there for
He's
a
got a
while.
few parcels.
So wherever the
They're
railroad
big
tracks
lots.
are, it's right here.
Yeah,
Because there's the railroad track. It's right here.
those are big acreage lots. They're, they won't. They're not subdivided. One other thing that Mid-American's looking at is developing.
That
Have you seen
super
part of
site.
that? Yeah. That's all right. It's 275 here, so it's everything in here.
Yep.
So if we could get down here or here. You came down 250th. They touched 250th with some of their options. So if we could come down here instead of here,
Yep.
this would feed them.
And even at this, I mean, the school we already have service because of Spiral and other things. So, but
That's coming
so
the other way though.
that's coming through town through fiber that the school owns themselves.
Okay.
But so the county would get mainline to here. But what we would then do is okay, Jim, we're going to serve you, but then also we're going to serve these folks as well. So if you take your
Sure.
So let's actually talk about that for a second, because that's obviously that's a pretty big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so whether you so in just in talking about yeah, because there's kind of several things here. One is this isn't really gonna feed anybody in the near future. This is an area, but this right here is like one of the major things the county's doing. If you didn't
even having we'd have obviously a vault or whatever sits right here to be able to, and if anything ever
Right.
develops off of here. So if we didn't come down here, even being right here, is going to get us
Right.
set up for the future.
So we've been talking, so Marco and I have been talking about, that's one of the boxes we're gonna have to check. And right now, we haven't gotten far enough on how to check that, but
Right.
that's actually something to,
Yes.
so,
Because they're gonna need it.
I have to, I mean,
Yes.
it's just a have to, it's a box you gotta check.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
at the beginning, it's a box you gotta check, but then they're gonna need it once it starts looking out. But so if you, so right now, Chris, if you didn't so if it didn't touch here, like if the thought was to get this way, maybe
Yep.
on 245th, and if it wasn't here, what would your
How would you check that box?
yeah
I think just being right here, you basically do it because you're if this becomes a mega site or whatever that looks like, we're gonna jump all over getting into here. I mean, on our dime from here to there or whatever that looks like.
And Chris, what kind of time frame? I mean, obviously, you could stage it to like what was going on at the development, but like what, like if that was starting to go, and I mean, again, it's going to take a while because there's got to be all the development and all that kind of stuff. But like with what we're talking about with the different plans, whether it's here, whether it's coming down through here, whether it's coming here, like how, like. Trying to think of the right way to ask this.
Before we get things turned around and ready to go to be sent to you to review possibly, and then
Well, this is
overall time.
This is
completed
overall. This is
project.
overall. So like if this started to go, say 5 years from now, if you were around here, and obviously that was a high enough priority, like if we went here, or with your, with what you got on 34 already, how is that something that could be spun up in a year or two, or
As far as getting from here to there,
or getting from wherever we ended up to here? So like, say if this one did this way to pick up economic development and you're along here, like, is that something that you could put in a year or two plan or something like that to get to, or?
yeah, and especially, I mean, if we are here, I mean that's
Whether you're on the edge.
it's right there.
Yeah.
And even biggest thing that you deal with on this is, and if you've dealt with this, anyone railroad, that'll be our biggest hurdle on and this
Yeah.
any of this build anywhere. Sooner or later, one time we're gonna have to cross this thing.
Oh, you died.
Yep. I had it. I was ready for it, but
So I didn't mean to derail things,
No,
but
no,
that's
it's-
something that we actually have
Gotta
to talk
do it
about in
right.
this plan, because that's Marco's right now.
I mean, our CARES Act. We have a a July 1st deadline for that. What we'd like to see is for this to, once that project's done, or even at the same time, we're constructing both of these. So, working with our contractor that's doing that project right now, MP Next Level, we've had to adjust some fiber counts because some fiber would not be available until August already. So we need to get this thing in motion to get this happening in 2021. Ultimately, we need to pin down this route. Basically, I know you guys said you have some other meetings and stuff you need to discuss with it, but so we can give the final direction of engineering as well, and say, okay, this is actually the route versus that, and then work out with Ken, with the county, of what does that agreement, that arrangement look like.
Can you, I know I took a picture of it, but.
I can send it to you. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Just send me a PDF.
Yep.
And Carol, and
You
Richard,
bet.
and Ken.
Yep.
Hey Chris, so in the options that we're looking at of coming south, so we got the box going across Gaston and all that, and looking at options coming south, if we didn't do Silver City Road south of Gaston, and we went over towards west, southwest, 245th, 250th, somewhere in there, does that have any implications for your overall network? Does that have any implications for timing or what you guys are wanting to do?
We have to go south. We have to get back to 34 at some point.
Whether it's Silver City Road or whether it's 240. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
One or the other. We have to be
Just for a dual feed.
for redundancy purposes. Yep.
But whether it's Silver City Road or something on the west.
Doesn't
side.
matter. It's all fed from the back from Glenwood. So.
Okay. Okay.
Same thing with water. Coming from the GMU side, we provide better service and better pressures when we have a leak. We just do. It's easier to maintain, it's easier to run, it's easier to, things break, things freeze, things blow up, people hit them digging, it's nice to shut it all off and keep water. It's inevitable, you're gonna lose a few in there, but it's not every.
Every time everybody's right.
Right.
I was doing a project over in Muscatine, and we were looking at how they would do their loop. And I said, so what's your pain level? And they said, we don't want to lose more than half at once. I was like, I think that's higher than my pain level. let's try to figure out a different way to do it. They're like, as long as it's not more than half. It's like, half's a lot of people.
It's funny, if power goes out in Glenwood, I don't lose power at my house.
Really?
Yeah,
Because you're on it.
but if someone hits a power pole in PJ, I'm out.
Yeah, you're on the other side.
And Glenwood's between me and PJ, so I've never looked at
There's been a lot of power issues lately.
it. Yeah.
Chris, do you guys care about, like, if it was down 245th or 250th, as long as you get back to 34? Does that matter to you?
No, it's just really. Ultimately, we'd have to
Dollars would be higher on 245th.
beef up
You just need to read that.
beef up the size of that fiber coming down. Wherever that is, we'll have to
Yeah.
increase the size of that fiber.
So
Ken, are you talking
This
about
is-
excluding Silver City?
No.
Just
no,
coming
it's what
out of
happens
the
south
Silver
of,
City.
yeah.
Got it.
So 245th would be more expensive than 250th, but
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
But
in a couple ways. One is because you get into more people quicker, and the other is
Yeah.
it's just longer because it's.
Okay, alright.
It's a straight shot.
It is. But Jim's subdivision is over on 245th, is that right?
No,
No.
he's just west of 250th.
Oh.
He's between that yellow line.
Oh, okay. I was trying to get over.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
Jim's between me and Glenwood,
Right there
which
by the
is that
school,
far.
Okay.
across
Yeah.
the road.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, 250th makes sense. Because then you pick up Jim's and you pick up.
Yeah. Well, and if we came down, this is just food for thought, but if we came down here, it would be easier to come into here if and when there was a development here. You could tie into a
And
box
then-
here, or
Chris, that would
here.
make it sound economic sense for you guys, right?
Yeah,
And whatever
exactly.
it's there, it
We're-
would make your own sense.
so just roughly figuring this, we're 15,000 feet. Coming down here. We're basically 11,000. So you take off about a mile. So $37,000 back out of that. Originally we had factored in of.
Plus 3 times more people.
And Lonnie, I am right in that this is the western border of the
The
mega site,
mega
right?
yes,
Okay.
and you're checking that box.
Marco would be thrilled, just so you know.
Well, now's the
And
time
like I
to
said,
include
nothing's
it.
getting decided today, we need to have these discussions / arguments / whatever you wanna call it. A few of them soon,
Yeah,
because
we
we
don't wanna
wanna,
duplicate.
we wanna pull the trigger soon.
And
So we wanna,
realistically, I mean, this, looking at what we've talked about today, makes more sense for us because we dropped down right here, from a 288 to a 72. So our
I don't get
capacity,
that. What's it?
our fiber count,
Okay.
Number
so the
fibers
size of the
in
fiber,
in the bundle, there's
Yep.
200 and something versus 70 something.
so it would give us a little more room going east, obviously. So.
More than you probably ever wanted to.
yeah, you'll be able to retire from supervisor and go work for
Just-
Western Iowa Networks and HR Green.
Betcha.
Start digging cable.
And railroad, it's across either way, so that's not.
One,
an issue.
one,
It's
one,
of the
sooner or later we're gonna have to do it one
Yeah.
time, and we, part of the construction, you'd have to start working on that. As
And
soon as
wouldn't
we
it
get a
be better?
contract put together.
To do it now,
What's that?
and wouldn't it be better to do it now than?
The railroad?
Across it,
Yeah, it's
might as well.
always a pain, no matter what.
Just change the subject though, like my brother lives in Woodfield, and Woodfield's part of your
CARES Act.
I said, hey, you should be getting a letter soon, if you haven't already, from Western Iowa Networks, they're building in your area. He said they sent us one. Howard offers higher speed.
Not possible.
I'm gonna have you call him.
That's fine.
He's also a DOT engineer, so you're not just calling a flunky down the road. You gotta call him and say, hey, this is Chris with the Western Iowa Networks.
Yep.
Your brother gave me your number.
Shoot me his contact information.
How
got
can
it.
Howard offer
I
So-
got him.
speed? Who?
So
Howard.
Howard's high speed. So Howard, point to point has its place.
Yep.
But
Is that what
which
it
was
is?
yeah, Howard's point to point, which is what Spiral was. It has its place, but even if it could, yeah, but even if it could be a, like point to point, the most stable is fiber. The next is DSL. Then you get into the over-the-air stuff, which is fixed wireless and satellite. That's kind of the order of
Right.
That's kind of the order of what the problem with when you point to point, a lot of utilities use point to point. Utilities, but it's not as stable or the more users he gets, the more it can suck out of the power, the capacity.
Well, and I remember when they were using it down, he set it up down at the park during the flood and just amongst the people in the trailers.
I'm gonna send you his number. I've got it under Swen. His name is Wesley.
Okay.
When he was first learning how to write his name back, well,
Sensing a trend here, Lon.
since
Yeah.
we're recording this, when he was first learning how to write his name a week ago, before he right after he graduated from Iowa State, he spelled it SWE, yeah, so it just kinda stuck. So, I hope that gets in the minutes, Patrick, before you get fired. But, yeah, give him a buzz.
Yeah.
If he was here, he'll do well.
But with point to point, it's so like Hillsdale Church, we use Howard
Right,
point,
right.
because there was no other option.
And Howard fit, Howard did good for what, I needed. It's a good option.
But it's not long term.
Especially with
even
this
fast.
family.
It's not that.
It's not.
I mean, and all their screaming and,
Yes.
gosh,
Oh, that's all they do.
Oh,
I mean,
well, that's what I mean.
there's 3 kids that are,
TikTok.
you guys talked about 11 devices in the house. There's 5 of them total, people, and I guarantee there's more than 11 devices going, sometimes all at once. So,
You throw that 11 number out there, and people are like, yeah, there's no way. And then, but it makes everyone stop and think. They're like,
Absolutely.
5
It's not
phones,
just your
3
phone.
TVs, iPad,
And you don't think that,
laptop. I mean,
There's
they're already over 11.
you know, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, security type stuff these days.
Yeah.
That runs over an app.
Yeah.
They don't get called that part.
But that's a national statistic.
Alexa.
Statistic is 11.
Yep.
I think that's gonna go up.
I do too.
I think that's a short number.
part of our new operations is we're building a showcase of the smart home, refrigerator, stove, and everything that will, all be connected to the internet.
Alright, there you go.
In the grocery store, hey, look what's inside mine.
Oh,
catch them? Oh, yeah, looks like I do.
Oh, yeah, well, we just bought a new fridge, and that's
Oh,
one of the
my
things, you can touch the
Did
door,
you buy a
and
smart one?
it shows you what's inside of it, and it'll tell you what the temp is of this, and whether your doorbell's ringing, and whether you turn it, you have the
What's
stove
on TV
and-
for right now?
Yeah, I mean, you can stand there, it's your refrigerator and run your house, it's like, why? First of all,
Well, I was sitting, I was sitting with a guy who was just attacking, he was just an engineering tech. And it was about 3:30 in the afternoon, he goes, oh dang it. I said, what? And he's looking at his phone, he said, my daughter forgot to lock the door again. And he locked it from the office.
yeah.
And then he called and said, quit forgetting to lock the door. But
Our
all that
garage
takes
doors, our garage
connectivity.
doors.
But all that takes connectivity. You know,
Oh, yeah.
that's another connectivity.
Well, that's
Yeah.
just like, okay, you go to a hotel, and some of them had it set up that all you can check in on your phone and you can open your door of your room with your phone, you know, instead of a ring.
Calling for yourself, please.
Yeah.
I love people. So this, I'm gonna enjoy this more than you
But
do.
11 devices, you know, if that number doesn't go up by half in the next 2-3 years, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
If not more.
Well,
Like I said, people
which
just
way's the
don't
point?
think.
I mean, everything's pointing towards.
Everything, you gotta have it.
More and more and more.
That all takes connectivity and it all takes something else that still takes capacity. And when it's not there, like any of those other kinds of things other than fiber, when it's not there, we think about losing all those. You know, all that way that we. So that's very fiber stuff.
Thank you guys, do you have any questions for him
This is
right now?
great.
Okay, I'm sure we will in the near future, but give us a week, I'd at least like to discuss this amongst us before we get back.
Yep. So you want me to send you this?
Yes.
The
And then-
PDF is fine,
Okay.
just a screenshot of it. And
Yep.
email it to all of us.
And I'll break down some of these routes a little bit more, just.
Yeah.
You guys
I wanna
can
visit with
what-
Marco as the rest of us, he will too, we
Yep.
need to have some internal arguments,
Couple.
discussions if we do.
Couple quick things before we're done. So one of the things you guys will need to know, and that's in, the contract and stuff, but, so Chris, if with the county providing kind of the main line to get there, then you guys will have that, you'll use that as your distribution off of that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So, just so the supervisors know, can you kind of, and you probably already have, or at least talking about this, but can you just kind of walk through, like, what the timing of that could look like, just so they know, because they'll be getting questions about legislation and that other thing. So, if you take like Minneola and Silver City particularly, if construction of the route is, the main line is going into next year in the spring, is that something that, like, take Minneola and Silver City, is that something that, like, the next couple of years? or like-
Ultimately, what we would intend to do on this whole thing is, we've done some similar type projects with RUS projects, that it's, an area is RUS funded, and the next area is not. So you can only have one contract, it's gotta be separate contracts with RUS versus what's outside it, right? So, if the county has a contract with, whoever the contractor is awarded, we would then, at the same time, like say, okay, this is what the contract is for the county, but we would also include these units for Silver City, Minneola, that Western Illinois would be responsible at the same time, so if they're constructing that main line, they're also constructing fiber in Minneola in Silver City.
You guys need to know that. That's actually a big deal, because if you get calls about, well, when's this gonna happen, all this stuff, that's actually the fastest it could possibly happen.
It would all happen as one time, but once
That's
we are ready to, ready to act and move on this, we will advertise in our website, just like these other areas, we'll draw that all out and send everyone in this area, literature saying, hey, go to our website and sign up, because you will be receiving fiber. If we say that it's, hey, May 1st we're starting, whatever that looks like, and that's when construction will start, and typically the contract on this project, 20 miles, probably looking at builds, 90 days, 120 days, probably something like that, on what that would take.
Sure.
That's good news, I mean, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah, we don't wanna fiber run through town and then say, oh, it might be a few.
No, we're gonna do it in
years,
5 years.
forget it.
Yeah.
Couple more years.
Yeah, you get them hyped up and then you.
And we know, and they have to know, they may not like it, you know, when I say they, you know, the people we represent, but they have to know that there is some, construction happens and it takes time and.
Yep.
And
First you'll see
not everyone will just go, okay, you have fiber now, it's.
you'll see the crews come through and Meal, that's where they start on the, on the north end. And they may come through, bury all the town and continue south, and they're like, hey, it's all done now. And it may be a few weeks before the splicers get back into town and they do their work, so it could be a month or two afterwards before you start seeing any cutovers and anything like that, so.
And the one other thing I would say just for you guys is that through, because part of this is gonna be the CARES Act coming in, CARES Act money coming in, northwest part of this and kind of counties. And then this will kind of bring it south and bring it around. But, you guys should, Chris and Steve, but you guys should feel comfortable taking credit for all of that and part of it because, Western Iowa Networks put together the CARES Act part of it, which you guys did a great job. But you guys actually helped with that, right? I mean, you guys, the broadband study, they included that,
Part of
Farm Bureau.
Part of it won't happen if
Redundancy.
we don't do it.
Yeah. And so Western Iowa Networks deserves credit, and you guys do too, and for all of that. And so this is all stuff that you're helping happen in Western Iowa Networks. This is a very good partner.
And I don't know, you guys, I'm sitting here thinking, trying to get the word out and how definitely,
We
what's
have a little
happening.
hot dog thing like you guys talked about, or.
Yeah, and that's what, we tap
Maybe
into our
our
marketing.
marketing that are so sick,
Yeah, we're gonna start
they're
doing
building
this.
ones, so we get a little plug for the Legion. or-
Yeah, cause I've had
No, it's
people ask me
town hall
questions,
meeting
well, what do you
or-
know about this, what do you know, and I said, well, what do you wanna know, you know?
Yeah, so we need to go on that.
And part of that, exactly, and part of that kind of what I'm thinking is that, Western Iowa Networks deserves a lot of credit, especially, for being a good partner for the CARES Act and all that kind of stuff. But you guys deserve the credit too, because you've helped all this happen and get all this in motion, and Western Iowa Networks has, used the stuff you guys have done, like those letters and broadband study, so it really has been a partnership to get there. And that's,
It's been good.
and so everybody should get some credit there, including you guys. And you guys get it.
100%, everyone, I mean, we're all sitting at the table for the same reason. It's an unserved area with your study that you obviously proved, and then the data does not show that. If you look at the SEC's data, it's
We've
saying
been
it's
through
served.
that once.
Yeah. And that,
Both of you, and I
that was a big deal, because the data is just wrong. And
How you guys corrected that as fast as you did.
it was a team effort, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect,
I'm
thank you guys.
excited.
Thank you. We will be in touch soon, both of you. Good. If we have you next week, it will definitely be the week after, if not next week. Great. We need to, we wanna get this money spent and dedicated moving forward, so. Once we tell you where we wanna go, then, yeah, what do you?
Scott, have anything out there?
Maybe
You've
it's-
done-
Is that right?
Yep.
And I don't know exactly what he took off after that. Send me that picture again. Give me a copy. That'll be a good reminder. I'll take it right back.
He actually, his surgery's actually.
Oh, good.
You know, our family know.
Very well.
Yeah.
He went in for heart cath yesterday. To look at things and they had a suspicion it might be more than what they thought. So they wanted to go
Oh,
through
really?
and so they're doing triple bypass.
He may not be here for a couple of weeks.
I,
Knowing Richard, like Lonnie said, he could sign in some of the papers, it was already signed by Richard.
Yeah.
We can all
Really?
probably figure out a way to,
What are you doing
Somebody
tomorrow? Well, I get my triple bypass at noon, I'll get there tomorrow.
well, you know what I
That's
told
Richard.
him this morning, or yesterday when he called me to tell me, and I said, well, shoot, if that's not scheduled till 12:30, you could probably still hop on, and listen to the meeting, and he started laughing, and yeah, I think they would have played. Just kidding,
Right,
Richard.
for 20 years, this guy's been sitting in there.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Well,
that's awesome.
absolutely. Marco's gonna be thrilled.
We both learned a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions on any of it.
I will,
Yeah, we
just
gotta
you
do
know,
it
my
right.
brother let him have it.
Yeah, I
And
will.
you went right.
Get them straight, set straight.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Chris.
Yeah, see you, Ken.